Hey guys, welcome to Project L Music's YouTube channel with your hosts, El, Basjan, and our guest presenter, Paul from Alchemy Fire. So,
Good
welcome
evening.
guys.
Good evening. Welcome to you.
Hello, guys.
So,
I see Tony and John is here. Hi, John and Tony.
hey guys, how you doing there, guys? So, if you want, guys, in the chat there, if you've got any questions about the bands that we are discussing or questions for Paul, ask away, and we'll get round to them. Get round to the questions. So, yeah. Right, Bastion, what goodies have you got for us today?
I've got quite a nice variety of stuff for today, and I'm starting off with a band called Shores of Null. It's a melodic doom metal band from Rome and Lazio in Italy. The first track I listened to, Destination Woe, is brilliant. My Darkest Years is crazy good song. The track Last Flower is amazing. Black Grapes for Tomorrow is a killer song. The band is amazing. They have a new album, The Loss of Beauty, out, and the band can be found on Facebook, Shores of Null, band's website, shoresofnull.com, and YouTube, Shores of Null. And for me, this band, I reckon, it's one of the finds for sure. For me, I really like them, and I've actually gone and got the new album. I decided I'm going to spend some money on this because this is as good as anything out there. And I've been asked last week to go and check into a band called Kingdom of Giants, and I did go and check them out. They are a metalcore band from Northern California in the USA. The first track I listened to, Wasted Space, it's a kick butt song. Wayfinder is a crazy good song. The track Night Shift is a super cool song. Sync is a powerful song. The band is super cool. The band can be found on Facebook, Kingdom of Giants, Instagram, Kingdom of Giants, Twitter, Kingdom of Giants, and YouTube, Sharp Tone Records. So they are on YouTube on the Sharp Tone Records. Then I found a band called Dying Wish. It's another metalcore band, and they're from Rose City, Portland, Oregon, in the USA. They're a female-fronted band. The first track I listened to, Torn From Your Silhouette, is a killer song. Your Rot is a powerful song. And Fragments of Bitter Memory, of a Bitter Memory, is a brilliant track. Innate First is an amazing song. The band is pure energy. I like them. The band can be found on Facebook, Dying Wish 503. On Instagram, Dying Wish HHC. And YouTube, Sharp Tone Records. And then I found a band called Julian Camera. I don't know if you guys heard of them before. The industrial dark wave gothic metal band. That's a mouthful. From Italy. The first track I listened to, Night Glory, is weird about a brilliant song. The Eighth President is a super cool song. The song Illusory Guest is creepy cool. Eclipse is a great song. The band is weird but amazing. The band can be found on Facebook, Julian Camera, .official, YouTube, Out of Line Music. Let me tell you about this band. I'm sure a lot of people are going to hate him, and a lot of them are going to love it. It's one of those bands, you either hate it or you love it. There's no in between. No. So, yes. Then I found a band, Earthling. It's a melodic metal band from Germany. The first track I listened to, Basita, is awesome. Robin Hearts is out of this world. The track Deuce is crazy good. Fumble of Winter, featuring Julie Elvin, is amazing. Weer Sint Midgard is a kick-ass song. The band is awesome. The band can be found on Instagram, Earthling Band, YouTube, Out of Line Music. And now I hope I get this band's name right. Insania. It's a female-fronted death metal band from Chihuahua, Mexico. The first track I listened to, Wolf River, is awesome. The track Between Shadows is a kick-ass song. The Taste of Destruction featuring Jonathan Tapia is a killer track. The House of Blues is loud and unapologetic. The band kick-ass and I like them. The band can be found on Facebook, Insania Official, YouTube, Torres Valdo. Then I found the band Seed of Sadness. It's also a symphonic metal band from Greece. The first track I listened to, Remnant of a Dying Smile, is crazy good. The track Final Dance is brilliant. Nemesis of vocal recording is super good. Oh, that's the vocal recording. That's the version of that song. The King of Loss is such a great song. The track One Man's Dream is crazy good. The band is awesome. And I'm waiting for new material from them. The band can be found on Facebook, Seed of Sadness, YouTube, Seed of Sadness. Then I found a band, I decided, why not include them? Labrini Girls, I don't know if you guys heard of them. They're from a punk rock band from Brighton in the UK. The first track I listened to, White Van, is crazy good. The second track, let me just warn everybody, if you go and watch the video on YouTube or listen to the song, parental guidance is strictly advised. Please, please don't blame me for the lyrics. That woman, what she's saying, I'm not repeating anywhere close by. So help me, I'm gay. And it's an amazing song. Then Lads is pretty cool. Then the next song, YouTube. It's not me saying it. This is the song's name. Big Dick Energy is simply awesome. You don't want to see the video of this. I'm not commenting on that. The band is super cool and not afraid to say what they think. And yes, they're definitely not afraid of what they think. And the band can be found on Facebook, Labrini Girls Band, Twitter, Labrini Girls with a Z at the end, band, and Instagram, also Labrini Girls with a Z, or Z at the end. So this is from the UK, and okay. I hope you guys get a chance to check them out and tell me how they are alive. And then I found a band called Arcane Ritual. It's a gothic occult band from the USA. The first track I listened to, Witch Heart, is brilliant. Angel Tears of Passion, the cover, the acoustic version, is super cool. Angel, the gothic metal cover, is awesome. I like the metal cover. I think it's fantastic. Enemy of the State is a super cool song. I like the band and can't wait for new material from them. They can be found on Facebook, Arcane Ritual, Instagram Arcane Ritual, and YouTube Arcane Ritual 6799. And my last band I've got for today Deja Mart, a punk hardcore metal band from Rimouski, Quebec in Canada. The first track I listened to, Regarde Moya, is a powerful track. La Mort, Dance, L'Ami takes you on a metal journey. Exceptional Stagnation is a kick-ass song. Vivre is a super cool song. The band is in your face and brilliant. The band can be found DJ Mort Music on Facebook and DJ Mort 909 on YouTube. Then to my gigs for the week. And my first one is one of my favorite indie bands. Saturday the 17th of June at 9 Groove Road in Charlie's Bravo, that's the place name. Sepsis, Scarecrow Hill, and Chaser Fight will be on at 7 p.m. And June the 23rd, Orlando, Florida, 7 Dust Killer Tour kicks off. Then the Moonspell 30-year anniversary tour featuring Elaine, Ocean Slumber, and Wintersea that I featured here before is in the USA. And I go on the 8th of May. That's tonight at Santa Fe, New Mexico. And then the 27th of May, it's the whole rock night, Bat Out of Hole. And the 16th of May, it's a triple headline tour at Valley Club Hall. And Tuesday the 16th, the Waterfront Studio, Norwich, the MFFs and Fleas and Zines. That's a punk night. They have that's at Norwich. It's a punk night. So that's my bag of goodies for this week. Some strange characters in there, but what can I say?
Yeah. Yeah, thanks, Basjan. Yeah. So, Paul, what have you got today?
Well, the only thing I've been doing is that I've gone back to when I first heard this band, because I didn't know they were existing until a few years ago. I went to see them probably about 6 months ago. Big band in Sweden, band called Evergrey. I don't know if you heard them.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
They
were absolutely fantastic. I mean, the guy has a solo project on the side as well, which is called Silent Skies, which is basically, it's just him and a piano player because he's got an amazing voice, this guy. And on the last album, or not the last one, the one before, he does a duet with James LaBrie out of Dream Theater. So, you know, on the album, it's a good album. But when we saw them, there was 2 really good bands on with them. Now, one's a Spanish band. They were called, let's have a look at the name, Virtual Symmetry.
Yes.
They were good. They were very sort of progression type metal, if you want to call it that. So they were sort of mainstream, but they were good. And the other band on, which I thought were slightly better, is a French band called Fractal Universe.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and they were very much like, if you like Opeth, that type of thing, because the lead singer was a guitar player as well. And they had 2 lead guitarists who were really, really good interplaying with each other. And the lead singer out of them plays saxophone as well. So it's kind of strange, you know, but and when I started digging around them, because people forget, like the French have got some really good bands if you know where to look. You know, they're quite surprising because they've got a wide range there. And one took me back to when I went to see Tremonti. There was a band on there called Disconnected, and they're a French band, and they are really in your face. Excellent band, really, really good. If you've not heard them before, all this stuff that I've mentioned, they're all on YouTube. You can go and see the videos, and they're right in your face, got that very aggressive tone to them, very twin guitar attack. So if you like that sort of stuff, right up your street, go and have check them out like that. I don't think they're playing anywhere at the moment, but when I saw them, they were on the tour with Tremonti, and the other guys, I think they're probably doing something in Europe because they both, like I said, one's Spanish and the other one's French as well. So they usually end up doing like hooking up for small tours. I know that Disconnected, I think they played Wacken last year, so it's quite a bit of a jump for them. So, you know, I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there. Another thing to look at for as well is if you ever get the chance to see some lower line bands, is if you go into like we have a big festival here in the UK called Bloodstock, which is just down the road from me. And that's a good festival for new bands that you've not heard or are just up and coming, because everyone gets a chance there. I've had a couple of mates of mine band that played there. One of them played the main stage there because it's a story that goes back a while, but met a few people who've gone through the ranks there. And usually sort of like once they've played Bloodstock, they sort of can project and go up into Download, if you see what I mean. It's almost like a stepping stone. So the Bloodstock is a good way of sort of saying, because it's still a big crowd there, you know. I mean, you're probably talking about 20,000 people go to Bloodstock, and they've all got the little small tents as well as the big main stages, and you get decent bands on there. I think a couple of years ago, the big headlining band was Judas Priest last year, but they've got, I think this year they've got, I'm not sure whether it's a monomath or whether they're on at Download. I'm not sure. It's one of them two. So they get the big names to keep the people coming in, but you get to see a lot of up and coming bands if you want to see that type of show, because the Bloodstock is definitely the more heavier orientated. And so if you've got that sort of leaning, you should check out Bloodstock first, because they've got some good names and some unknown names, and it's always worth a shout getting in there and saying, hello, let's go and spend a few days here, because good atmosphere, very well looked after, very well run, much smaller scale than Download, but it's still a very friendly atmosphere. And people I know who've always been there have never had a problem with it. Whereas Download is a much more venue than say what Bloodstock is. So, you know, I mean, it's a case for everyone. Whatever your taste is, there's always someone out there to cater for you. I mean, in town in Nottingham here where I live, there's a well, it's not smallish pub. They tend to have a lot of punk nights on. So if you're into punk, there's a pub in Nottingham called the Tap and Tumbler. And they're always, if you go on their website, they're always putting bands on. I think it's every Friday night. And they go downstairs and they usually have 2 to 3 bands on. And you can guarantee if you check them out on their website, you will see something, or you may have heard of one of the bands that even you mentioned before. They might even be on the playlist somewhere along the line, you know. So who knows? It's sort of, they're not all punk, but punk seems to be the angle they're aiming at with that. So you can always say they're booked up for months in advance, you know. So you can guarantee if you look on every month, there's a whole heap of bands already lined up for that. So, you know, that's always another thing to check out if that's your style. And obviously the other big one near me is Rock City, which is, they've always got some good bands on there. I've checked out quite a few bands over the years, Rock City. So, you know, those sort of venues near me, it's thick and fast, because I'm lucky enough by living in Nottingham where I do, there's 2, 3 or even 4 main big venues around here. There's another one not far from here in Newark. I can't remember what that one's called, but they have a bit of old and new one. That's only a one-day festival. I think last year they had Michael Schenker Group headlining it with a load of other stuff, you know. So it's a bit of like, you can get what you want in that sort of scene if you're prepared to sort of move around. But it's quite good for me because it's all in a short area, you know. I mean, we're talking, 15, 20 miles max. We went to a pub the other week, and you had one of the bands that you went to see, Al, a couple of weeks ago, the Victoria Bikers Pub, and you went to see him down in Trillions. I can't remember the name of the band that you had on there.
Conscious Sanctuary.
That's it. They were on, yeah. So that's only up the road from me. That's about another 20 minutes away. So, you know, there are the little venues around. So hopefully they all stay vital. And, you know, because the last thing we want to hear of is pubs shutting down because they've not got live bands on, or they haven't got people coming in through the door, because you know what it's like. It's a bit precarious sometimes. If they don't get enough people in, they soon shut the venue, if you see. But we don't want that. We want to keep it going because, let's face it, live music is the breath air and fresh air for us anyway, and what we believe in, because you know that's where the next talent comes through, isn't it? You don't just want to be. We don't want to be seeing these like they do these mass-produced things where they just say, right, you look good, get on stage, and we'll make you into a band. I think the grassroots level is where you come through. Any band at any stage doing that, always take my hat off, because I've done it myself. You know, because let's face it, you know, you have to put the graft in sometimes. It's not nice because you got to throw all your stuff in the back of a transit van and away you go. And we've all done that, you know. But when you're younger, you basically that's what keeps you going. It's that energy. But you know, we've got to keep these venues live. That's my main thing anyway, because the more live venues, the better it is for the system. You know, to keep it healthy, keep it flowing, and that way, I think that's what people want to see and hear, because then they get the opportunity. But if those venues shut and there's nothing, then there is no opportunity for any band to play. It doesn't matter what style you are. So hopefully this keeps, you know, I mean, there are some really good landlords and people out there who really, really support the live music scene. And without them behind it, you would really struggle, you know. So we all hats off to those people, because they believe in it. They've followed it through the years, and they're keeping the live music scene going. And that's great to hear, you know, from my point of view anyway.
Yeah, that's the thing with me and Basjan. We always say, if you don't support your local venue,
yeah,
you're gonna you basically you're gonna lose the venue, and you're gonna lose grassroots bands.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
if you're going to go out and support, if you love live music, go out once a month. Go out and check a band out. You don't have to spend a fortune in like drinks or anything. Like just go out and support your local venue.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, because they would these venues would love to have people coming into the doors on a regular basis.
Yep.
Watching live music and stuff like that.
Yep.
So we always say support the local venues.
Yep.
Doesn't matter how big or small.
Yep. That's it. Keep it going, otherwise you lose it. You know, if people don't come through the door, that's what happens. They shut the door then, don't they? They go, oh, we're not bothering now. So we've got to keep that going. And like I say, hats off to all the landlords and landladies who still keep it going, because without them on the scene, there is no live music. You know, the big venues are all right because they can put on what they want and they've got the money to carry it. But it's the smaller venues which are the lifeblood, because they give the young bands who have not been heard a chance, you know, because that's what it's about. You know, when you know, and they put on like Battle of the Bands and stuff like that. That's where you get to hear all these type of things, because I've done them myself, you know, and I've played in loads of stuff like that. I mean, it's great because it keeps the energy going and the people who are into the music go. And you know, without that, there is nothing to exist for bands out there, because the internet's made it easy, you know. Okay, a lot of bands can go and record and put a video out and all that, but without a venue to play, that is the aim of all bands, is to play it live. They don't just want to record and leave it. They want to be on a venue, they want to be seen, and they want to be heard, you know. So I think it's important. I mean, I've got this is like a little story, but it's taken off in a big way for this a friend of mine who opened up a venue in Blackpool, funny enough, and it's a place called the Waterloo Bar. I knew this guy a long time ago. Now they've associated themselves with the Rainbow Bar and Grill in Los Angeles. Now what it's called is the Lemmy Bar, and I used to go to the college with the guy who was Lemmy's best mate. He was a guy called Nick Gribben, and he was in a band with Lemmy when they used to play together in Blackpool. So what happened was Lemmy then formed. He went into obviously Hawkwind and then went into Motorhead. But when Motorhead were sort of getting around, he was still very, very pally with Nick. So when he moved to LA, Nick used to go over to him and they used to get up and jam in the Rainbow Bar in LA. And he just, because Nick was good with the harmonica and Lemmy would just play and sing and all that. So what happened was they became really, really good friends. And then before he died, he came back over to this bar and he set it up and he gave them some memorabilia. So they've got bits of Motorhead, like they've got some drums, I think, in there. And I think they got one of Lemmy's basses and they've tied a link with the Rainbow Bar. And it's the only one outside of America. And it's in Blackpool, and they put a lot of bands on there. So if you type in Waterloo Bar in Blackpool, they've had some really big names. They've had last year they had Jeff Tate at Queensryche on there. So they've had, so they can pull people in because it's not a massive venue, but I think it holds about 300 or 350, and it's a reasonable sized club stroke bar. But they've had a lot of up and coming bands go through there. Some bands you've probably never heard of, but it doesn't matter. It's another live venue. But what they've got a bit of promotion behind them from the American market, and it's the only bar in the UK that can call itself like a Lemmy bar outside of LA, you see, because he said when he was setting it all up, the criteria that they had to meet, otherwise they'd get sued by the the Motorhead Foundation or something to do with that, because they're very, very specific on how things are and how they had to do it. Anyway, luckily, because they had that connection, he got that set up before this Nick died last year. And basically he got it in place and then he died, unfortunately. But you know, the thing's there now, and they've got all that Motorhead stuff there. So if that's your bag, they are there in Blackpool. So I just give them a little plug, because to me it's another venue that keeps putting live bands on, and it's good. You know, I mean, I think if you go around the country, you'll still find some really, really good venues that put on live act. Like you went to one the other week, Al. I didn't know Trillions was still going. It's still up and running, yeah.
Yes, it's it was a bit of a touch and go scenario, because I follow Dave Hills on Facebook, and I seen some of his posts. He was like he was wondering if he was going to be still be going,
Right.
but thankfully there are still and is still a huge following for Trillion, because it's basically, apart from like the smaller venues or the O2s or something for that in Newcastle, it's still like a lot of bands do want to go there, and people still go there. The fans of Trillions still go there week in, week out, and it's it's one of the best rock bars in Newcastle.
Yeah,
and I've been to a few in Newcastle. I've been to, like, obviously Trillions. There's the Head of Steam. There's the Globe opposite the Newcastle Arena.
right.
That's starting to become really popular with, like, especially with sort of like the dark wave or EDM and that type of show, that top sort of like with the that genre of music. Also with with a bit of goth as well, because before the world sort of closed down for a couple of years, back in 2020, I was going to see a band, Incubus Succubus, there. I don't know if you heard of them. They're from a goth rock, pagan rock band from Gloucester.
Okay.
They've been kicking about since 1989, and they were going to play there with a local band that I know personally,
Right.
with Holy Grail, and they sort of got there. They were going to do a big gig up there for the first time in something like 10 years, 15 years.
Wow.
It's actually getting up into the northeast again.
Yeah.
And fortunately, they haven't getting back up here yet. So yeah, also I was going to see another band from Birmingham called Decatur. They're sort of like a symphonic, sort of like movie type thing, like the B production type of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, so
yeah.
Yeah, so the that's the globe. Then you've got like the dog and parrot, which is up there. They've got God, I've been to that many places in Newcastle. It's unreal. Yeah, it's hard to keep track. It's hard to keep track. Yeah, then you've got the Clooney, the little buildings. You've got the mining institute, which is like big thing up in there in the northeast with all the mining and coal mining, iron mines, stuff like that. It's just like I was like, it's the venues are spread out across Newcastle, and but Trillions is the main one for the die-hard rock and metal fans.
Yeah.
That's the main place to go.
Yep.
So.
Well, it's like that. There's a few places dotted around the country like that, aren't there? And I mean, they fly the flag because they just won't let it rest. I mean, I know one like that down in South Wales in Cardiff. There's a place down there because I used to know a promoter down there, and they used to always put bands on, and it sort of died off a bit, but then it's sort of come right back, and hopefully it builds up a momentum because. I mean, I'll tell you now, there's a lot of good bands come out of Wales. There's some really good bands, it's a typical old saying, isn't it? The Welsh can sing. Some fantastic singers, I mean, but but that's it, I mean, they've always had that sort of thing behind them, and every band I've heard that's quite a lot out of Wales have always nailed it, because as far as vocals are concerned, you can rattle off all the different type of bands that are out there, but they've got a club down there, and I can't remember the name of it at the moment. I think it's changed its name, but they're always putting bands on there, so you can now guarantee it's probably not as big as Trillions, because I don't know how many Trillions holds, but I think this one in Wales only holds about 300 people, but it's still a great place, and I've been there a couple of times, and it's guaranteed packed out, and it's not far outside of Cardiff, and there is a few more pubs knocking around there that put live acts on, but this place is definitely sort of a metal place, so you can always guaranteed that's the sort of music you're going to get there, whereas the others, I think they'll just have sometimes just put cover bands on and stuff like that, but hey, it is what it is, if it's live, you keep it going, don't you? That's the way you got to do it. I mean, we have a different sort of look on it in a way. It's sort of like, I don't know if you guys have been to America, because they have a different take on the way they do things over there. I mean, to them, if you can bring a crowd in, they don't care what you play. So it's like, yeah,
Exactly.
you're on. Do see if we can bring some people through the door, you know. So, I mean, hopefully it's getting back round to what it used to be like, but it's still always going to be sort of an underground thing because, you know, I don't think it'll ever reach the status of what it used to be like, but it's still got a following, and it will always will have a following because, you know, if you didn't have that, you wouldn't get places like Download who can have up to 100,000 people out there. If they didn't have a following, they wouldn't come, would they? It's as simple as that. You know, and you've got all these big festivals all over Europe who are all pretty much in the same vein, you know, like your Wacken one and the one in, can't remember what the one in Holland's called, but there's a big one there, and they're all over the place, you know. So it's there. People are into it, and it's never going to go away. It won't. That's the reason why you've got good young bands coming through who they are going to carry on the torch, because the big days of the big bands is coming to an end now with them, you know, like your Metallicas and that of the world. There's only going to be a little bit more time left, and they're going to bow out. They're all saying that to, you know, so there's got to be someone to come and replace them. So the idea that this is coming through, hopefully, keeps the flame burning, if you want to call it that, and get the crowd going, because you want that age group to come through with them. You don't want to be all old fogies like us, and then there's no one behind us. So we need people behind us to keep the tradition going. And I think that's important, you know, and that way. There seems to be, though, what I've seen and what I've heard, some good young bands out there who, you know, hopefully they've got a bit of a following, and then they can perpetuate it and keep it going. And that way, you got someone to carry the torch on. Because I've noticed it's not all the hardcore bands either. There's some very, what I call, mainstream rock bands coming through. And in America, that is a big thing over there because they're more concerned with radio airplay. You know, and that's how a lot of them know over there. Because when I was talking to my drummer the other day, because and like I told you, like we're going on to play in America later on in the year. They used to be all the way it was organized in the States. It was all to do with the fact that, you know, if you were on the radio and they liked you and you were local, you were going on. But I think it's a little bit different now. You know, they've changed the format. So I think they probably looking like the way it's done in Europe and the UK. It's like, if they've got to get the people through the door. So if they've got a bit of a following, let's get them in, because it's a business at the end of the day. You know, they've still got to make money out of it, and that way, instead of having a one-day festival, which a lot of them used to be, they're now, I think, in America trying to follow our footstep and go, okay, let's have 2 and 3 day festivals. Let's get them going, rather than just focusing on the one day. You know, so it's something new, and hopefully it takes off. If it goes good over there, it's good for the rest of the world, because, you know, festivals are festival, isn't it? And a lot of bands, the more the festivals there are, the more chances of them being able to play. So I think, you know, any live venue, doesn't matter if in a small club to a giant arena, it's good, you know, as long as that keeps rolling and we all keep going to see them, and that keeps the flame going, as I said, then it's good for everyone. Because, you know, the last thing we want to do is let it die out, even though mainstream music on radio is very much, you know, the amount of rock bands or metal bands that get on is like that, and it's very, very tiny. So places like you've got Elf, you know, like you're like yourself, keep the flame burning, mate, you know, and that's the beauty of it. You know, it might be not on the scale of some of these big radio stations, but it plays all the right stuff as far as I'm concerned, you know.
Yeah, that's the thing. When I first really started doing this, about 10 years ago, over 10 years ago, I wanted to help these bands, the up and coming bands, out, because I saw it about going back, like I said, about 12 years ago. I saw it happening, starting to see it happening, because one of my favourite bands in the world is, like, 2 of them actually. One of them is Iron Maiden,
yeah,
and Motorhead.
Yeah, all right.
And I started to see they were getting on a bit,
Yeah,
and and I came to the decision that I came to this realization that they're not getting any younger.
yeah,
They're not getting. They've got a limited time left.
yeah,
And take a look at Lemmy. He died died when he was 70.
yeah,
Black Sabbath's retired.
yeah,
Slayer's
Yes.
retired.
yeah, yeah,
It's only a matter, like you said earlier on, it's only a matter of time for like the Megadeths, the Metallicas, the Anthraxes.
yep,
These bands have been kicking about since the early 80s.
yeah,
Oh,
yep,
yes.
yep, yep.
Who's going to replace them?
Exactly. This is what I think. That's what the industry is a bit scared of, because there's going, unless someone comes up, there's going to be a massive vacuum there that there's no one to step in there. You see, and the industry, you know, relied on these big hitters all the time, because wherever they play, they always fill the stadium, so they could put 2 or 3 of them on, guaranteed packed out. But if they go, they need someone in there who's going to be able to make that vacuum or that void be filled, because there's a lot of good bands out there, but there's no one, because the media isn't giving them the opportunity to hit home and then say, you know, these are the next on the list here. Check these boys or girls out here. You know, this is what we're looking for. But you know, the media has a lot to do with that. They just squashed it, and it's just the fact that these have got big followings that they won't let it go. But the others, like, you know, okay, we do know media has a lot of saying in it, but, you know, I mean, I'll be honest with you, back in the days when they came out, it was all about how many albums they churned out, and they made a name for themselves by getting these big followings. Because, you know, I mean, you name it, like you just said, if Iron Maiden said we're playing down the road tomorrow, that'd be filled. That'd be full, and within 2 hours it'd be sold out, you know, or less. So but the smaller, younger bands who people don't know as much, that's going to take people a bit of time to adjust to. So they need to be able to say, right, well, the clock is ticking, and they need to sort of get their head around the fact that, well, we better start looking now, otherwise all of a sudden you'll have a big bang, it's gone. Because, you know, you just named a few bands off the top of your head, you know. I same with myself is like when I was looking at like say for Judas Priest the other day, because I sort of know Andy Sneap, but not brilliantly, but I know him enough to say hello to him and all that sort of stuff. And he was saying, like, when I don't remember the story, when he got basically booted out of Priest, didn't he? Because they wanted to cut it down to a 4-piece. And then there's such a backlash from the Judas Priest fans. You know, we've always had 2 guitars in Priest. You can't do that. So he had to reverse his decision and then realise, okay, yep, we go back to 2 guitars, but blah, 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 blah. And then suddenly he started saying to me, well, I'm 71 now, you're saying, or something like that. And, you know, I'm not going to be able to start carrying on for this for the next 10 years because you won't see him on stage doing what he does, you know. So that's so it's getting to that point where a lot of these bands are all like that. You realise when you look at them and their age groups, they're all in this late 60s and 70s now. And you would have thought, well, how long have you been in the business? And it's 50 odd years, some of them, you know, and that's a long time, 50 odd years. And you think, Jesus, that is mental. But longevity, well done. But who's going to follow in the footsteps? You know, unless you have a copycat band who is exactly the same as them, which is, I don't think that's the answer. I think you should be looking at new talent, new sounds, new versions of it, you know, and then going with that. But at the moment, I don't think, and I'm being brutally honest here, there's not that many big names who I could say could hold that and pull that sort of crowds what what I call the big guns used to do. So it is going to be a bit of a struggle, but something has to be done. Otherwise, you're going to find a massive hole that ain't going to be filled if they're not careful. Yeah. You know, there are good bands out there, you know, let's face it, there are good bands. I mean, if I go back to like we were just mentioning Metallica and all that, I mean, I like a band from America called Trivium. I mean, probably everyone's
Oh
probably
yes,
yeah,
they're
good,
awesome.
awesome band. Yeah, they're from Florida, where my drummer is. You see, my drummer knows the singer out of them, and you know, that's the sort of band a lot younger could quite easily fill the void of, say, Metallica if they were given the bit of the push, if you see what I mean. It's that sort of style, isn't it, with a little bit more aggression to it and all that. But you know, so there are bands in there who are quite happy would slot into that empty shoes, if you want to call it. But it's like you're not just going to say, well, we'll shoehorn you in because you sound like them. You've got to have your own version of something. But you know, it's going to be a case of, I don't think they're just going to pull them out of thin air and go, oh, here's the next best thing. I think they've got to have a bit of background behind them, and they've done them tread the boards like a lot of bands have done. So they are there, but it's getting the exposure. What people don't know them that well, you know, unless they go on tour with them. Everyone knows the name. We know the name, but Joe Public out there wouldn't know who Trivium are. They've probably never heard of them. You know what I mean? So, but they've heard of Metallica. You see what I mean?
Yes.
So it's like you're trying to convince the next generation out there of like, okay, these are the next thing, you should be listening to these. But the way it is at the moment, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is to that.
Yeah. This is one of the reasons why I do the radio show and doing this podcast and doing interviews and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Is to bring awareness to the Joe Public, saying, look, this particular band is interesting. You might say, go check them out. You never know, you might actually like them. And it might, if you do like them, tell your friend, tell your brother, tell your sister. They might actually like it.
Yeah.
So this is one of the reasons why I agreed to doing the radio show. Well, 5.5 years ago now.
Yeah.
And I have discovered quite a few bands from all over the world.
Yeah.
Who are really, really good.
Yeah.
God, I've found bands from China, Indonesia, Taiwan, Pakistan, Bangladesh, India, Thailand, all over Africa, all over Europe. You know what I mean? Christ, I even found bands in Saudi Arabia and fucking, you know what I mean, all over the place.
Saudi Arabia, even. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're really good, really good. And
imagine that. I was going to say, imagine their audience must be, because they won't be allowing them to play live, will they? Because if they're into that real harder style, if they're very religious, they probably wouldn't even allow them any live spot at all. I suppose it's all internet based, wouldn't it be? Unless they go overseas to play.
Yeah, they will do. There's I know there's a couple from Israel that get out of Israel because of out of Israel to play live.
Yeah.
There's a couple of bands. There's a band from Iran who had to get out of Iran because of they couldn't play because they couldn't play there.
Yeah.
So that would go over to, I believe they are in the Netherlands. I think.
Right.
I could be wrong on that one. So yeah, there's bands from all over the world that have been playing, and this like I said, this is one of the reasons why I want to support these up and coming bands, because basically at the end of the year, these bands have been around since the late 60s, early 70s, going into the early 80s. They're starting to like think, I can't do this at the end of the day. It's going to be a time where they going to turn around and say, I need to retire. I can't do this every single day, day in, day out for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Because I said that some of them they're getting in the late 60s, early 70s.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I saw an interview the other day on Tom Araya from Slayer, and he was there, and he's got his big grey beard now, and he's there, and they're all saying, like, because they, you know, basically Slayer pretty much non-existent unless they do some comeback show or something like that. But when they were interviewing him, he was saying, yeah, when you're younger and you can just, you know, you can play and then go to sleep, and the next town you're in right across the other side of America, you get up, you get on stage, So I can't do that now. I'm too old for that. He said, I've got a family. I want to be with my family. And if we go over and we're playing in Europe somewhere, he said, I can take a few days off and fly back. He said, but when I was younger, we couldn't do that. We were fixed to a tour, and we had to do it, and we had to stay on that tour until we were finished. You know, he said, luckily, as they got older and they had a bit of a reputation and they got a bit more money behind them, they could pick and choose how they wanted to do it. He said, but when you're older, like he was, and I think that's what caused him to say, right, I'm calling it quits now. He just said, I've had enough. You know, I can't do this anymore, because he was getting on towards his late 60s and that. And, you know, I think their final, I don't know if you saw when they did the Showbiz one at the, I can't remember the name of it, where they ended it with it was the film industry thing earlier on this year, and they basically closed the show. So you got all the camera moving around all these very straight suit and tied people, and Slayer closed the show. You know, all the bombs and the flames and all that, and everyone's going, "Oh my god!" And they're all trying to pretend they were enjoying themselves, and you know, Tom Araya screaming his head off, and I think they did 3 songs or something. All the flames are shooting everywhere. It was like unbelievable. It was, but I think that was the last show they did, and I don't know what's happening to them. I don't know. I don't think they're going to go and do anything more. So I think I've heard stories that Kerry King is going to start up a new band. I don't know whether Gary Holt's going to go back to Exciter or not. I don't know, but he was he from Exciter or was it Exodus? He was in Exodus. Sorry, yeah. So whether he's going back to there or what, you know, it's things like that, because he was a younger member of the band, but the older members, you know, I think they're just that's it. I'm not doing anymore. So this is what's going to happen, you see, when they start to sort of go, right, that's it. You're either getting a younger replacement, which is what Dave Mustaine tends to do. If you ever notice that, all his members in the band are all a lot younger than him. So he can just stand there and warble away while the rest of the guys do all the work, because he's quite clever about that. You know, I mean, you think about it, how many people, he has a different lineup every time he does an album, I think. So he's like, well, yeah, you need to go, I'll get somebody else in. So he tends to be a bit like that, Mustaine. But you know, end of it, it's like it's kept him and his longevity, and he's still got that high level of accuracy because he's got a lot of younger players with him. So they can sort of carry him, if you want to call it that, and he's not going to worry too much about it as long as his voice holds out. But hey, who knows? Maybe that's the thing. That might be what they're looking at. You know, I remember reading a story about, and this is a funny one. This is like about the band Kiss. And when they were finishing, because they're supposed to be doing the final tour, he said the best thing to do is like get someone who looks like us to replace us, and we retire and they carry on, and then they just don't know that we've not stopped playing, you know. So Kiss goes on for the next 50 years or whatever like that. And I thought, well, that would be something that they would do, you know, if you think about it. But hey, it is what it is. We can laugh about it, but it's like, in a way, it's sort of serious in the sense that once those guys go, you've definitely got to be looking at who's coming in behind them. You know, like we've just mentioned all these bands from all over the world. Yep, that is the fact. But if there's no platform for them, or like you said, some of them have to leave their own country just because, you know, they look down on them and say, you don't want to be playing that sort of stuff. You know, that's not look on well in our country. But it's, you know, it's a sad thing really, because music's supposed to bring the world together. And it's like there's one little thing that you can say with music, and this is me talking when I used to hang around with, when I've been stuff with my youngest brother was in you know, the West End, and I used to go out for a drink with him every now and then when I used to go and see him, and I used to hang around with the orchestras because they were the musicians in the band, and they'd turn around and they knew I was a heavy metal guitar player. And he used to say, he said, the one thing constant in music that you can't do in anything else, it's the only language in the world that can be played in any country and understood, because it doesn't need a translation. A note is a note, full stop. You know, and you can get any musician from China, from, you know, Brazil or whatever like that, and they can play the same thing because the music with the notation is all the same. It's a global sound, and that's what music is. It's a global thing. It's not like, oh, well, you're from there, you won't understand what I'm doing. As long as you know what key you're in, bang, you can go. So, you know, and that's the beauty of music, I think. That's why it crosses all these territories.
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
I totally agree. I totally agree that music is basically the universal language.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what language you do, it's a universal language.
Yep. Well, they've said, haven't they? I mean, when they do mathematicians and they do equations and all that, a lot of them use, it's the sound as well that they said the frequencies and all that is a big part of when they're doing experiments and stuff like that. It always has a sound frequency with it in a lot of stuff they do, because in my job, well, I work at a college, you see, as well, but there's other areas where engineering and stuff like that, when they're testing things, it's something to do with sound. The frequency has something to do with whether the metal is, you know, it's able to penetrate it, or whether it is reflective or whatever, or they measure the sound to measure the depth of it. And anything they do in anything like that always has something to do with the frequency. So it's more than just music. There's more to it. You know, there's a mathematical thing to it and all that. So it has more than one level, if you want to look at it that way. You know, so there's a science to it as well.
Yeah, I was going to say is that everything that's basically solid, or anything in the universe has got like sort of like a frequency.
That's right.
You can actually like shatter it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
If you know the right frequency, you can basically destroy it.
Yes, so, that's right. I was watching one today, actually. It was quite funny. It was a guy who's saying when people have got, like, you know, they've got this, they're sort of frustrated and stressed and all that. And this guy said, you know, one of the most natural, pleasing sounds you'll ever hear, which basically it resets your mind, is the sound of a bee. And he said, what we've experimented on, we brought these people in, and he said, we put a beehive behind there where it's humming, because it hums in the key of C. And he said, that note, he said, it's very relaxing. So people sit there and they've got these bees. So he said, but it basically, it makes them feel more relaxed for some reason, you know. So he said, so there's more to it than that. And that was just a little thing on, I know we're talking about music and sound and all that, but that's the sort of thing, you know, because it is a sound. So, you know, you think, wow, I never thought of something like that. But he said, yeah, that, because he was a professor and he was talking about it. He said, there's something about that note that, you know, fixates in your head, and it sort of resets your mind that, yeah, it's almost like all right, stop everything, just listen to this for a bit. And it's like when people say, when they go and they want to get lost and they think, like, how do I relax? One of the most pleasant sounds for me is running water. If you hear water and all that, you know, it's a really nice sound. So it's a stream or a river or whatever like that. And it's sound again, isn't it? That's what it does. It's that thing with your ears, or whatever you want to call it. It just affects you and you think, hey, that's great, that. And it's calming. And that's the same sort of thing what the guy was saying with this bee sound. He said it's a sound that basically does something to you. It resets your brain to think, right, forget that. That's good. And that's why I think music has such a big impact on people's lives, because you know what it's like. It's a mood setter, isn't it? And if you've got a bad mood, you're going to want something hard and aggressive. If you want something to relax you, you want something soft, and you know, it basically, that's what music does. It's the mood you're in. It sets the tone for you, doesn't it? And it, you know, if you're going to go out there and you think, right, I'm going to party it out tonight, so you want some music that's going to bang away, and you think, yeah, let's get that going. And it's that's what it does to you. It uplifts you, or it'll bring you down, or it'll calm you down. You know, so it has many, many different connotations, and it's like, and people don't understand that's why it does, because if you think about it, all the biggest venues, whether it's a rock concert, whether it's if you go and see an orchestra or whatever like that, people like music, full stop.
Yes.
It's one of the biggest common denominators out there. It doesn't matter, you know, if you go, even if you go to a football match and you want to go and see football, what do? They put on the speaker on the let's have the chant for the team, and then the whole crowd singing it. So it gets, you know, so the point is, it has that that thing where it can lift everyone or get everyone behind it. You know what it's like when they want a chanting sound, if they got something. I mean, one of the most amazing things I've seen, I don't know if you've ever seen the Amon Amarth thing, when they get them all sat down and they're rowing on the floor like they're rowing the Viking boat. You know, yeah. That's another thing, you see. It's like that. It gets people involved, doesn't it? So it's one of those things where you think, yeah, I think only music could probably do something on that sort of level, you know. So that to me is the winning factor for me anyway. So, you know, I mean, what more can you say about it? It's there, isn't it? But we need to keep that flag flying. That's the most important bit to me.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So let's talk about like what's coming. Keep an eye on bands that are coming up. What's coming up on the Project Metal Across the Pond on Digital Revolution Radio? Let me see. Right, I've written down some of the bands that I'm going to be playing on the show. I've got a band called Shoreline Dream with the song Drive Away. Now, this band is pretty cool. So I'm going to be putting some links in the chat there, so you can actually go check them out to see what basically go checking them out. So I'm going to be putting some links in there. Got another band here from France. A band who's just really they might have been disbanded, but they've just recently put out all their back catalogue of 6 albums.
Wow.
The band called Anthemon. They're a heavy metal band from France.
Yes, I've heard of them, and I've got some of the music as well.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, they've just done a remix of one of the demos.
Awesome!
Just released the demo, all the demo versions, remix of all the demo versions of songs. It's called. Let me just check here.
Yes.
It's called the Alios.
Yes, the Alios.
Yeah. They've just done a remaster of that album there, of the demos. So it's all the albums are on Bandcamp. So I put the link in I put the link into their Facebook page, and all the links are actually on there to have a look and see what you think. Go to Bandcamp, and if you like them, download them. Another band that these guys, Curry, if you're listening on the replay, you will be wanting to check this band out. The band from Toronto in Canada, a band called Axminster.
Oh yes,
Now,
they're brilliant.
Oh yeah, they are. They've just released a new. They just released a new EP called For the Fortis.
Yes.
An EP of them. Oh gosh, yeah, they are if you. I've been listening to these guys for about a couple of years now, and they are absolutely brilliant. They are brilliant band. I'm going to be playing a couple of songs by them this Thursday. There's the link. They're sort of like they're sort of like a theatrical thrash metal band from Toronto, Canada. They are really good. Yeah. So now, if you like sort of like psychedelic progressive rock band, you're gonna like this next band called Bike. They are from Brazil.
Yes.
And I was just listening to some of the songs from the let me have a look. Te Bruta EP album, and God, they if you like I said, if you like your sort of like psychedelic prog rock bands, you're gonna love this band. And I have played Bike before on the show, so yeah. These bands got to be heard. You got to hear this band to know what I'm on about. It's sort of like it really trips your brain out, really trips your mind out a bit. But they are really good, really good. Yeah, so I'm going to put into the put their link into the chat there. So if anybody wants to check them out, check them out. Right, the next band is speaking of now this next band, our good Basjan here just done a review for this band. They are called the Self-Titled.
Yes.
And they are they've just released a EP called In Your Fire. Now Basjan just done a review for it and has just released it today. It is up on the review if you want to check them out. Is here on the website, Project Metal Music's website. So I'll put if you want to read it, you can read it there. And old Basjan wrote it there. And the band is originally is an original heavy rock metal band from Kent in the UK. So
Yes.
they are good. I've listened to the EP and they are brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
I love it. Oh yes, and that's why I finished as soon as you send it over. I decided no, I haven't got anything to do. I'm going to listen to this. And I said, oh, so I listened again to it, and then I wrote the review. They were brilliant. I really liked them.
Yeah, oh god, yeah. Same here, Basjan. Same here. I really like them, and I'm hoping, fingers crossed, I'm hoping to get an interview with them sometime this month. So stay tuned with that. So stay tuned. I'm going to try and get in. Depending on which day, I'm hoping to get all the band in to do an interview with me. So stay tuned for that. And yeah. Oh, and other bands going to be on the show. Black Altar,
Yes.
Candy Coffins, Crack Up, Dark Asylum,
yes,
I
they
don't
can.
know. Yeah. Do you know them, Basjan?
Oh yes, I do know them, and they're good. I like their music, so yes.
Yeah, cool. They've got a band called DIMC.
Yeah,
Yeah, so yeah, I'm hoping yeah, they should be really good. Them from what I've heard of them. Well, let me see. I've got hundreds of bands on my computer. It's to get clear on the floor. It's ridiculous. I've got about what 300 bands ready to wanting to get airplay. So
Wow.
so I've got over 5,000 bands on over 5,000 bands on the computer. It's
Wow.
it's ridiculous.
Yeah. That's
It's
crazy.
ridiculous.
Yeah. But it just shows you how good, the music industry is, that it's keeping going, isn't it, from all around the world, and people are
nice.
it's still there. I mean, my bass player, right, he's Brazilian, and when he went back to Brazil to do his solo album, I mean, some of the musicians he pulled in from some of these, I mean, I've never heard of some of these bands before. Yeah, I mean, so, and they were on there, and it's absolutely astonishing, his solo album, because there's no singing on it. It's because he's a bass player. It's all instrumental. The whole album's instrumental. These guys, he got in on guitar and drums and all that, and it's like, wow, who's he play for, and who's he play for? And he was telling me all these bands, and I've never heard of them before in my life, and they're not even mainstream, And he went, oh yeah, they're big in Brazil, but they're nowhere else. So it's, and it's just one of them things, and it's another, that's what they say. South America is a real, hotbed for a lot of bands over there, Brazil, Argentina, Peru, all those areas, Mexico, although that's a real hotbed for, it's a big thing for a lot of the big bands, when they go over, there's these big festivals over there, and they're massive. He was
Oh
telling me
yes.
big 3-day festivals in Brazil, there's 2 or 3 of them going on over there, and they really, really do love the music over there. Because everyone thinks, oh, Brazil, it's flamenco and stuff like that, like Spain, but it's no. It's good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's there's quite. I know quite a few people in Brazil, and if the vast majority of the music is like,
Yeah.
I've listened to is absolutely awesome. It's absolutely
Oh
brilliant.
yes.
Yeah.
So
Oh yes.
yeah. So
And
what
now,
else? Yeah.
last week you featured the instrumental rock band or heavy metal band, and they were brilliant.
Which one was that? Because I had to leave early last week. What band was that, Basjan?
Shit, that's a good question. I can't remember the band's name, but they were actually brilliant, and that's why I'm saying Alice featuring all kinds of music. It's instrumental, rock metal, heavy metal. So if your bass player is actually got an instrumental rock CD out, send it to Al. He might even get airplay.
Yeah, I'll get him to play, and he's got some really good track, because some of the guest musicians on it, they're really, really good. When you hear it, it's up there. It's a bit sort of, some of it a bit Dream Theater-ish, but that's that's the way it is. He's got good, because he's a good player himself. So he surrounded himself with good musicians, from his style of it, because he said the same to me when he said when I wasn't going to go back to Brazil, the best or the closest thing to him is he went to play in a black metal band, funny enough, in Portugal, because they speak the same language. Yeah, so he said there's a lot of good Portuguese bands out there. He said that you don't know about. He said, and you know, and he was naming them off, and I've never heard the names, but he was saying, "Oh yeah, this band's good and that band's good and all that." So, you know, it's like you said, it's a bit of a dark secret sometimes because they're not on the radio except for places like what Elle does, and otherwise no one gets to hear them, do they? So, you know, so that's the one positive thing to come out of it is getting them on the air and letting people have a listen anyway. Yeah, I'll get in touch with him, my Felipe, and I'll say to him, get him to send you an album across, you know, and get something for you. Yeah, I'll do that for you.
Okay, thanks.
Yep, I'll do it to you guys, no problem.
Yeah, I've pulled up the playlist for last week's show. You got stuff from the beginning. You got Elodius, Black 7, Phantom Elite, Synth Whaler, Heiko Funeral, Hath, Enemy of Reality, Seven Spires, Little P, Scandal, Nemo Fila, The Raven, I should say, Saturnera, Seventh Crystal, Shining Star. Yeah.
What if it's not Seven Crystal? I can't remember. My memory's left me. I heard a song and I actually told you in chat, this is actually brilliant. I actually liked the instrumental metal music and I thought it was really good, that band. I wonder if you didn't send it to me. It could be that I got it here. I will actually check if I got it on my... I've got so many bands as well on here that I can't... sometimes I can't keep track of the... this one. See... No, it's not this one. Oh my word. Yes?
I think it was Seven Spires. I think. I'm not too sure.
Yes, I've got them. You've seen Seven Spires and something else over. And yes, I've put it all with my other music. And there I've got over 20,000 bands so far. So it's going to be a long night if I go for one of them.
Oh, I bet your hard drive, you got 3, haven't you?
That's just my backups.
Right. Bloody hell. Wow. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I've got lots of new music. I actually live for my indie music now. And it's basically started for me when I joined. I was on a radio station called Canada's Extreme Metal Radio. And that's when it started with all the festivals and stuff like that. The indie.
Yeah.
The way the people supported indie music in Canada and stuff like that, it got me really into it. And I still keep track of the Canadian bands and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I love for indie. I can't remember the last time I actually bought Iron Maiden. I love Iron Maiden, but I can't remember the last time I bought the album from them. I spent all my money on indie bands.
Well, Fiona's, she's from Canada. She's one who sent me some Canadian bands. She used to know quite a few of them over there. And I remember her telling me, you know, stories of when she knew she got a couple of friends in there because she knew that Lee Aaron and all that lot. When she was working there, and I don't know the whole story, but she said she gave me, have you heard this band? Have you heard this band? I'm like, no, you know, I didn't realize they were Canadian. I thought they were American. You know, bands like Helix and stuff like that, older bands. And I'm like, I always thought they were American. He went, no, they're Canadian. Like, because the only band that everyone seems to know is there's probably 2 or 3, like, you know, the main ones like Rush and Triumph and Annihilator, everyone sort of knew
Yes.
they were Canadian, but the list she was going, oh no, these are Canadian, and I'm like, wow, I just didn't know anything about them, you know, because it's like anything. There's little pockets of secret talent out there that you don't know about, you know, and it's like you said, the best ones don't always get to the top, and that's a shame, really, because you know as well as I do, some of these bands that you've been naming are probably better than the mainstream big names out there, but because they have the backing behind them, they don't get a look in, and it's a shame, really, because there's some really good bands out there that don't have that support network or that opportunity, and that's
true.
Yeah. I mean, let's face it, if he had if you had the opportunity, I'm sure Al would agree on this. If he could put on a big festival with all these bands, probably the festival would go for about 3 years.
Yes.
3-year festival, you know, and you've got to do all the lineups, all that. Yeah. So, you know, you could probably do it, and it would be something unbelievable, wouldn't it? If you had a lineup with that many bands on it, just kept changing every week. And, you know, I mean, I'm sure, do you know what? I'm sure you would fill something like that if you did it, because people would come from all over the world to some and say, I've never heard of half of these bands, but I'm going to go because the festival still keeps going and going and going, you know. But it's I don't know, it's a bit of a laugh and a joke. But the point is, you know, it's a shame that a lot of these bands don't get the opportunity because they do deserve it. You know, you've heard what they sound like. And I think it's unfair, really, because, you know, like when you were telling stories of the band having to leave like Iran just because they don't like the music, it's a real shame, really, isn't it? Because they're talented, but they don't get a chance, you know, and it's unfair, really, because they discriminated because they don't like what they play and stuff like that, you know. That's not what it's about. Music's music. I mean, I saw one the other day, and I think these were an all-female heavy metal band from, I think they were Syrian, and they've never played a gig in Syria, obviously, so they moved them to I think they went to Lebanon or something like that, and they're over there now. They've got them in there and they're recording, and I heard what they sound like, and they're good. They're all female, but like they all, I can't remember the name of them, so I wouldn't know, but they all dressed in their black leather and all that. It's just black. I think I'm sure black metal, but they were like, you know, they were from Syria. So, you know, even that war-torn country like that, it's still got musicians there that are capable of delivering, you know, and it's unfair. It's another thing. They had to move away from the country, otherwise they wouldn't have been able to do it. So it's the way it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So it's a shame that where some of these bands got to leave their home country to just to either record or play live.
Yeah,
it's a shame. Yeah. So hope they do well. Hope that they.
Yeah.
Hope they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's the example for me is, I don't know if you remember this, when they had the Eurovision. I mean, I don't watch it anymore because it's pathetic, some of it. They had the Eurovision Song Contest on, and the band from Finland won it. Remember them, Gwar? Do you remember them?
Oh, yeah.
And they actually won it.
Yeah, I think that was in 2007, I believe.
Was it? Was that how long ago it was? Yeah. But, you know, I mean, these countries, they don't discriminate anything like that. It's just completely music's music to them. It doesn't matter. I think if everyone looked on it like that, and then there's no blinkers on, it basically it's like a laugh back at how this is going back to when in America when they had the parental guidance, when that all came out years ago, and they tried to ban a lot of the bands, or they put stickers on them saying, you know, this has got offensive language in and all that. And all of a sudden, that band Striper came out, wasn't it? When they were all throwing Bibles into the crowd, and it's like, hang on a minute, you've gone completely the opposite way. But they got around it, didn't they? Because that's what they did, and it was like, well, okay, we'll play them at your own words, but we'll do another version of it, and you know, and then end of the day, it worked for them. So it is like, there we go. So there's always a way, isn't there? If there's a saying, there's a will, there's a way. So, you know, I mean, as long as, you know, to me, it's what you're saying by what you two guys have been mentioning. It's still fairly healthy out there that people are committing to recording and playing and saying, you know, we're here and we're still producing music. So, you know, it's there. It's just that we now need the people to support it really more than anything. You know, I mean, we all know, yes, we were mentioning earlier on about live venues, but I'm sure in some of these countries, they must still face a bit of negative feedback. You know, you don't want to be playing that, and you don't want to be doing this. But other areas, they welcome it with open arms, because it's like, to them, if it gets people in through the door and enjoying themselves and they spend the money, because that's what it's all about, these bars and venues they play, they want you to come in and spend money. They want you to buy drinks and stuff like that. But if you don't give them the opportunity, they're not going to do it, are they? So it's being a bit open-minded is the word. But we'll have to see, because I'm hoping that, like we mentioned earlier on, that there has to be somebody in there to carry the torch afterwards. And I think that's a thing to sort of like be in the back of people's minds, because the older bands are not going to be around forever, and it needs to be replaced, doesn't it? Changing of the guard is probably what the word should be, and that's what will happen, you know.
Yeah, true. Yeah, so yeah. Anyway, so what's coming up? Just giving you a little taste of what's coming up on Project Metal Across the Pond this Thursday on Digital Revolution Radio. You can actually, if you're new to the podcast and you wonder what I'm talking about, Project Metal Music's got a radio show called Project Metal Across the Pond with me, El Young. It's where I play music, rock and metal music from all around the world. And make sure you've got your passport, because I will be taking you on a magical mystery tour. Because you never know where I want to take you.
Yeah.
It could be like I could be playing a band from China, Mongolia, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, Canada, Chile, Brazil, wherever. Sometimes I don't know where I want to take you until like the day before. So yeah, you can actually listen to the show on digitalrevolutionradio.com on Thursdays at 6 p.m. UK time. That's 1 p.m. East Coast of America. That's where the station's based in Connecticut. Bastion, help me out here. It's 7 p.m. 7 p.m.
Oh, it's, sorry. Yeah, it's 8 p.m. South African time. We're 1 hour ahead of you.
Yeah, it's 7 p.m. 7 p.m.
Yeah.
So,
I got mixed up with the podcast time.
Don't ask me about Australian time, because my brain hurts. Literally, my brain hurts if I try and work out Australian time. So,
it's coffee time in Australia. That's all we know.
It's usually around, depending on which state you're in, because I used to live in Australia, it's between 8 and 10 hours, depending on which side, whether you're east or west coast. You know,
yeah. I think, is it 10 hours ahead on the east coast and 8 hours on the west coast?
Yeah, something like that, Ellie. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like I said, sometimes my head hurts when I try and work out the time zones.
Yeah.
It's so yeah, go check out digitalrevolutionradio.com. The station has amazing DJs. They play different styles of rock and metal. They do all sorts there. They are, like me personally, I play a lot of unsigned and independent bands. Other shows play sort of like similar type of thing, but there's focus on the US bands, unsigned and independent bands. Some people play some of the Canadian bands or whatever it is. I play like the worldwide type stuff. So yeah. What's coming up on the YouTube channel? This Friday, doing a tech talk with our very own Paul Wright.
Oh,
So
cool.
yeah, we're doing a tech. Paul is going to show. He's going to show us what equipment he uses whilst either on stage, in the studio, or in the rehearsal rooms. So stick around for that. I'm really looking forward to this, Paul. Really looking forward to this.
Well, some of my stuff is actually still in America because I have some of my gear in the drummer's place in Florida, and I've got my stuff here because my stuff's the bigger stuff over here, and I'll explain to you when we hit on the Friday, and you'll see what I mean by then.
Yeah, really looking forward to that. And then on Saturday, I've got an interview with a band called Crimson Dawn. Now, if some of you may know, I played Crimson Dawn a couple of weeks ago on the show, and they messaged me if to set up an interview. So, and I said yes. So yeah, going to be interviewing them at. Usually, I try to do it at 9 p.m. UK time, but due to the time difference, they are. The interview is going to start at 8 p.m. UK time. So yeah, and then hopefully on the 19th, which is next. On the 19th at 9 p.m. UK time, I'm going to be doing a catch-up interview with the band Hand of Caliac.
Oh, yes.
A brilliant band from Scotland, who I've interviewed before. And
I've got some questions.
As long as Basjan doesn't turn around and say, "Do you wear kilt? Do you wear kilt on stage?"
No. Now this time I want to know what else is there, plus the kilt, or not there.
Yeah. Whiskey. Ask him about whiskey.
How many bottles you finish before you go on stage?
Yeah.
And if you do catch any of these live shows, by all means, literally by all means, if you've got a question for any of these bands or musicians like Paul, put it in the chat. We'll try and get round to actually asking the question. And you never know, they might have a good story behind that question. So yeah. And it's sort of like try and keep it. I do try and keep it like light-hearted and sort of like have a bit of fun, but I have this like serious side of things, sort of thing, to like what the band's been up to and stuff like that. So what's going to happen, whether it be gigs, whether it be new albums or EPs or songs or whatever it is. So yeah, we do try and have a bit of a laugh, bit of fun.
Oh, yes.
So yeah. So that's what's coming up on the channel and on the Project Metal Music, Project Metal Across the Pond show. So yeah, right. Anything last anything you want to say before we start wrapping things up?
No, I think I've covered just about everything you asked me to talk on. I don't know about you, Bastion.
For me, I just want to vouch the new Alchemy Fire vinyl is bulletproof. I've tested it. It's bulletproof. So go and get it and support the band. Like me, I always like vinyl.
Yep.
If I can get something in vinyl.
Well, the album release is out this Friday on the 12th. It's coming out. It's coming out in all the formats. Yeah, we've got the vinyl, we've got the CD, and we've got the download. So they're all in everything, you know, Spotify, Amazon, all those areas. You can pick it up from there. And they're hopefully the big push in America, which we've been told we're going over to play later on. They call it the fall. We're probably looking about August, September. We're going to do a few shows over in the States there. So we're going to kick off in America first. So hopefully when we get more information, we'll give you guys all that info. So as soon as we know more about it, we'll definitely let you know. That's the main thing.
I'm looking forward.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to it, and I'll post it on my geeks list and keep the guys posted. So hopefully you can fill us, get a lot of guys in and sell a lot of merch over there.
Yep. Well, the thing is, we get some merch out. I don't have a problem sending you guys some merch, you know, once we get the thing rolling, because it's all down to the new PR company from the label's got a new PR company, and they're supposed to be organized and all that. So as soon as we know, we'll let you guys know, and I'll give you some stuff out. We'll get that sent out to you. No problem.
Cool.
I'll put it on the list and everything, and keep everybody posted on that. And for me, like I always say, go and support all your local venues. And
definitely.
Please don't drink and drive. If you had too much, take a cab, take a train, take Uber, whatever, taxi, and get home safely, because we like to see you. And I'm sure the musicians will like to see you the next gig as well.
That's right. Yep, definitely.
Yeah. So don't be a dick. Don't drink and drive. Get like Basjan said. Get a taxi. Arrange for somebody to pick you up. So so make sure, please. If you're gonna have fun, just get a taxi, get a train, bus, whatever. We want to see you here. We want to see you nice and healthy at the next gig. So
definitely. Good
so
words.
So I've put the link into Alchemy Fire into the chat there. So if you want to check out Alchemy Fire, pre-order your vinyl or your CD or download. All the links are there on the Alchemy Fire's Facebook page. So check them out.
Yep.
So
brilliant.
Yep. Thanks for the plug.
And Paul will see you on Friday at 9 p.m. UK time. On the channel. So if you want, if you want to, and if you wanted to ask Paul about the equipment that he uses, you're more than welcome to come into the chat and chat away with what tech he uses. So
yes, very interesting. Looking forward to that.
I've got a lot of stuff that is some of the stuff I've got is actually quite unique. There's only some of the amps I use. They're very rare, and one of them there's only 4 in the whole of the UK. So I'll show you that on the Friday, and you'll see it. It's an absolute monster.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah, it'd be cool.
That's awesome.
Right. Anyway, guys, we're going to wrap it up there. So we'll catch you all later, and see you on Thursday and then on Friday and Saturday. So we'll catch you all later, guys.
Right. Thanks for having us, Al, anyway.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Yep. See you later on, Basjan. We'll speak again sometime. Yep. Okay. Thanks for that. Bye, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye, Paul.